in addition to Breast Cancer Awareness Month, it's Pregnancy Loss Awareness Month, which I constantly wonder, like, who makes up these months, but I'm deeply grateful because it gives us a chance to remember the things that we need to talk about more. And in an effort to constantly deliver preemptive knowledge, I say, we're going to talk about pregnancy loss. Recently, I was talking to a group of PR people for one of my consulting jobs, and they had inquired about, what do we think we need to do better? And I'm constantly on this mantle to decrease anxiety by increasing your knowledge. That's why me and Jenny created a tribe called V. And I think the best way to do that is, again, preemptive knowledge. And the reason we don't have preemptive knowledge in the health arena is because there's no way to deliver it. Like, you can't get it at school because the teachers don't learn it because they're not doctors. Doctors don't have time to deliver it because of our broken system. And so you guys just don't learn it. So today we're going to talk about pregnancy loss. And the bottom line is that pregnancy loss sucks, but, and the huge but here is that pregnancy loss is common. You might have seen that I did a campaign with Bodily where they talked about this is my normal. While I actually hesitate to use the word normal, because to me, normal is what should happen, and pregnancy loss shouldn't happen, but it's very common. So I like to differentiate a little bit between normal versus common, but for the purpose of simplifying language, we're trying to normalize the fact that it happens so frequently so that when it happens, people don't feel so deeply distressed. So I'm going to say this to all of you young women or humans with ovaries of any age who are embarking on the endeavor of trying to create a human. Be prepared that you will likely create and birth a human, for sure, depending on how far you're willing to go. But along that journey of creating and birthing that human, things can happen. The most notable of which is pregnancy loss. And I say that now not to be the Debbie Downer and not to put fear, because I rail against fear, as you all know if you know me, but because I want you to preemptively have heard from me and millions of women the different stories of what could happen without it feeling like, oh God, I don't want to hear the negative, or oh God, I don't want to hear the bad. But rather than feel that way, maybe we can deliver this message in a way that says to you, you're going to have a baby one way or another. But on that journey, again, things might happen, like your first try might not work right away, because when you find out you're pregnant, you might have an array of things happen. Like, you might walk into the doctor's office thinking that they're going to see a heartbeat, and they don't, because the embryo stopped growing when it was just a sac. Or you might see the heartbeat and be really excited, and 2 weeks later it might stop. Or before you even had a chance to go see your doctor for your first scheduled visit at 7 or 8 weeks, you might have some spotting or bleeding that takes you to the office or to the emergency room even, and they might actually say to you that things have already passed on their own, or that in fact nothing ever started to grow in a normal way. And these are all variations that sound terrible in the moment. And even right now, if you're listening and you don't know that this could happen, it might sound really, for lack of a better word, scary. And I don't want it to sound scary. I want it to sound yucky, because it just does, and I can't disengage from the yuckiness. But I want it to sound not so terrible, because the follow-up, the immediate follow-up to, you're having a miscarriage or you had a miscarriage, can and should be, but you're going to be okay, and you are still going to parent if you want to. Meaning, if you choose to want to grow a human in your uterus, the vast majority of times you can do it. Maybe you do it on your own, meaning spontaneous conception without any trouble or intervention. Maybe you do it with the help of your regular OBGYN. Maybe you do it with the help of a fertility specialist who just gives you oral medication or injectable medication. Maybe you do it with a donor egg or a donor sperm, or maybe even with a surrogate or adoption. But if you want to parent, you will. And if you start with that end point, you will feel so much better during the process, because it won't feel as if that time where you heard from that doctor that the heartbeat didn't progress or the heartbeat stopped, it won't feel as dismal. It won't feel as finite, and it won't feel as if it's the end. Because I think that was, to me, the worst part. I knew the data, but I didn't really consider that I was going to be that 1 in 4-ish women who was going to have a miscarriage. So that first time where I got pregnant so quick and easy without even really meaning to, and I went in for my ultrasound and we didn't see what I wanted, I wasn't devastated, because again, I knew the data. But I was definitely blindsided a little bit, because in that moment, what I hadn't kept hearing from data and from other doctors was the words that I now say to every patient. I hadn't heard, you're having a miscarriage, but that doesn't mean you're not going to be a mother. I didn't hear that. And while I knew it, hearing it to me is so crystallizing. So if I haven't said it to every single patient out there that I have ever told about a miscarriage, then I am sorry. And I want to say to all of you out there who might be watching, and share this with your friends, that if you have had a miscarriage, if you have one in the future, if you're going through one right now, you will mother and parent if you want to. It might not be easy. There might be some hoops that you have to jump through. And that's not what we all kind of were taught from the beginning. We just assumed that the minute we're ready, we're going to stop using birth control and it's going to happen easily. And that's just not true. That doesn't mean that it won't ultimately happen. So again, if you're going through it, please know you will parent, you will mother, you will grow a human in your body, or adopt a human who's grown in another body, or adopt a human who's grown first for a couple years in another family. There are many ways to parent, and the vast majority of you will be able to do it on your own, with your own body. Maybe with a little bit of help, maybe on your own. But please, please remember those words the minute you hear that you're having that miscarriage or that pregnancy loss, because what feels worst in that moment is not only thinking that this pregnancy won't continue, but that you might never have another pregnancy that comes to fruition and produces that little human that you want to take home. And what I'm here to tell you is, without doubt, 99.something% of the time, you will still mother and parent. So, Pregnancy Loss Awareness Month, spread the word. Tell the people you know who have uteruses and ovaries, or are even fathers in this situation, because it can feel so alone and dismal. But the truth is that we're more than able to do it. And it is not your fault that you had it, but you will be able to carry home a baby at